What up everyone, it's your man XMan87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video. And what I have for you today, we have 3 of the comic figures from the Ant-Man Wave Cassie Lang Build-A-Figure series for review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Gotta give a big thank you to my local comic shop in Concord, North Carolina at Selfish Comics for the assist with these figures. Now with that said, let's take a look at a Hank Pym creation, Ultron. Let's go! We get a new head sculpt this time with Ultron, and I think I like the way they approached it. So the head sculpt is different from the parts on the inside. As you can see, there's red on the inside with some crackles painted, so it does look comic booky. I do like that. However, the way it was cut in the factory, you can see across the jawline right there, it's all squiggly with the plastic. But you can see the antennas on the side. And my god, what is up with this? Look at the way the plastic swirling is just injected all over this figure. You can see how it interferes with the head sculpt. You know, you get it right there on the forehead, around the nose. And it doesn't stop there. It's spread throughout the figure. But before we take a look at the rest of the body, just comparing the 2 head sculpts right here, they both look good. I still love this one no matter what. Which one do you like more? I do like how the crackle effect here can be plugged into the mouth. And I like what they did with this head sculpt here. What I would like to see them do in a future Ultron figure is do it just like this with the open mouth. Just paint it, right? But in the eye area, put like a translucent red plastic, so that way you have a spot for a light piping feature and could light up his eyes that way. I think that would be really cool and something they haven't done with an Ultron figure yet. But yeah, going back to the body now, look at all this plastic swirling. You ever grab a shampoo bottle and you just like pour it on your hand, and before you put it on your head, you see all those kind of swirls and stuff? This is what it looks like. Dude just looks like a straight up shampoo bottle. It's just ruining the entire look all over. You know, it just makes so many areas of this figure look rough. Like, look at this. It looks like the figure has cracks across the thighs. See how the biceps have a crack there? Even the torso area. Look at that across the chest. Again, across the biceps. Whew, man, this is just looking like hot garbage right here. Like, I don't understand how you could go from a 10 to a 2 with the same figure. And this was one of my favorite Marvel Legends in 2021. It actually made my top 10. Look at that metallic silver paint. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The difference paint can make. This is just silver swirling caca, man. So my plan for this is actually to army build this to have some sub-Ultrons for my Prime Ultron right here. And I like that they have a distinct look to do that, but for full price, that's going to be pretty tough to army build this. Hopefully it'll go down, but because it's Ultron, I don't see him going down in clearance because this guy was selling out a lot, and he stood sold out many times, and he was highly sought after. So if people were gunning for him and missed out, they're going to go for this. You know what I wish they did here that I would love to see in an Ultron Marvel Legends figure? Is having poppable limbs where you can give them a battle damage look. Like a battle damage Ultron would look awesome. So if you could like pop out the arm and plug in some like circuitry, electrical effects, that would be really, really cool. Similar to what NECA did with their TMNT foot soldiers. Torn up torso with some battle damage parts, or you know, legs and stuff. But my imagination is too much for Hasbro to handle. He's got his closed fist right there. The waist swivel, I mean, it's passable because he is robotic. But, you know, if this was on a human, this would not look good at all. Definitely kills anatomy. That's why a lot of people want more ball-jointed waist. Waist swivel doesn't bother me, honestly, but when it kills the proportions and the anatomy, like that Pizza Spidey figure, holy crap, that's a bad waist swivel when you look at it off to the side. Yeah, as you can see close up, man, there's just a lot of swirling that's just ruining the look. They sculpt the bottom of the feet. That's always cool. And what I did here was do a head swap with the Ultron head that came with the Retrovision figure, I want to say, to see if this look could be pulled off because of the plastic. He's not painted in a metallic silver, so couldn't get away with this. And what do you guys think? Let me know. It's definitely off tone a little bit, but it could be passable. I just don't know why they included this head if they didn't have a use for it down the line. Head may sit a little too high and maybe a little bit smaller, but it's a robot. I mean, it's okay. For me, at least. I think it looks a lot better in hand in person as I'm looking it through the camera right now. You could definitely detect the color tones being off. But I don't know, something to try out. Oh, I think that looks better with the crackle effect there. Yeah, this is pretty dope. It's passable, in my opinion. For accessories, he comes with 2 gripping hands that go hold his crackle effect. And I actually like what they did with the crackle effect this time. They painted the black parts to it, so the black dots are painted. This one had more of a overspray to it, so they both look good. I just like the black painted on it. It's so nice. Makes it look more like a traditional Kirby Crackle. I gotta say that the black Kirby Crackle effect looks way better on this Ursa Major Wave Ultron. And lastly, he has that sort of I'm gonna take over the world open kind of hand for his left hand. Articulation time for Ultron. So his head is on a disc hinge and he looks about that high up, so that's really good. He looks that far down and left, right, some kind of rocking, pivoting motion there. His arms move up about that far for a straight T-pose, down, and you can swing them around. You got the bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and then you got the wrist swivel, wrist hinge. Diaphragm joint only moves that far forward and that far back. He does swivel and he pivots real nice, and you can rock that around. You got the waist swivel. You got his legs that can spread that far apart. And he could kick up real high. And not so much back at all. You could rock his legs around. He's got the thigh swivel. Double jointed knees. Almost heel to the Ultron butt. And then we have a ankle swivel right there. You got his ankles that can move up that high, down that low, and he does pivot. I would only recommend army building this for sub-Ultrons as it doesn't look as fancy as the Ursa Major Wave one to give it a primary look on the shelf. But even with that, it's a pricey tag to army build something where the quality is visually absent. Could have used black tracing on the line work to make the sculpt stand out. I love what they did differently with the head sculpt, and there's some fun stuff that can be done here, but the out-of-box experience doesn't leave a good impression. Because this is such a downgrade from the last one, despite the same great awesome sculpt, the plastic swirling cracks spread throughout kills the visuals. I'm rating Ultron with a mediocre score of a 6 out of 10. Now moving over to one of Hawkeye's biggest foes, Crossfire. William Cross, aka Crossfire, is a former CIA agent who became a criminal and organized an army of mercenaries. Crossfire lost his left eye and ear in an explosion, replacing them with cybernetic implants. He primarily antagonizes Hawkeye and by extension Mockingbird and the Avengers. However, he ultimately goes where the money is. Crossfire's left eye has been replaced by an infrared imaging device which allows him sight even in total darkness. His left ear has been replaced by an audio sensor that is far more sensitive than the human ear. His costume is composed of bulletproof, flame-retardant fabric and has hidden compartments containing miniature surveillance devices, compressed oxygen tank, and single-shot weaponry. Cross is a master subversive, brainwasher, and entrepreneur. He was highly trained by the CIA in unarmed combat and is an excellent marksman. He possesses sufficient technical ability to develop and modify sophisticated computer technology and specializes in applied ultrasonics. Alright, the head sculpt for Crossfire goes hard, man. Look at this. This is freaking excellent. I like the crosshair right there for his eye. And the face print decal works here because, I don't know if you could see off camera, he has a 5 o'clock shadow. That's one thing that's a big advantage for the face print decal, is that they could get away with stuff like that and make it look real. The eye looks good. The whole head sculpt again. You can see the ears right there. And the paint job. It's beautiful. I love it. Then we get to the body, and this is just utter disappointment because this is the Spider UK body, but they kept the pins and not updated. If you look at the Baron Strucker and Fang from the Puff Adder and Cha'ad Build-A-Figure waves, it's the Spider UK bodies, but they gave them the pinless treatment. Also, I apologize because in these reviews I said that these are the Vulcan arms reused on the Spider UK body, and some of you in the comments corrected me. and saying that, you know, the base bicep is actually Spider UK and these are like new forearms. It threw me off because at first glance, you know, they have the seams right here, which the Vulcan arm has for the gloves and stuff. So that threw me off. So these forearms are indeed new. And another way I was able to tell how different this forearm was compared to the Vulcan is there's a slight curve to the seam on the glove, whereas Vulcan just goes straight across, as you can see. Just wanted to point that out. But I did say the Spider UK legs are retooled in the pinless treatment, which I was right about. So thanks to those who corrected me politely in the comments. Some didn't. It's like, yo, I'm human. I make errors. Don't act like you never made a mistake in your life too. No need to talk to me to type certain words in caps. I can read just fine. So yeah, it's a damn shame they couldn't give him the pinless treatment. And you get some nice paintwork though. You get the white there, the Crossfire logo. You get white all across. The plastic and the red. Again, you get a lot of mismatched tones here. The torso is different from the bicep. You get a darker red and some lighter red on the limbs too. Those are his gloves painted. He's got the closed fist. This is a new piece, a new layer, is the belt. So, not totally comic accurate. This white strip is supposed to go all the way down to his crotch, but I get why they didn't do it. It would look weird as hell, so I'm totally fine with this. I'm not gonna take a point off of that. Another thing, he has 2 holes in the back. Like, what the hell? I forgot to mention that in my X-Men Villains 5-pack review with Zero. He has 2 holes in the back. And I'm like, this upper torso was mainly used for several magnetos that, you know, you could plug in the capes to it, and he only needed 1 hole, not 2 holes. But then I look at the Fang figure, which has the same upper torso, and he does indeed have an extra hole on top to plug in his necklace here. I mean, if he only had the 1 hole there, alright, whatever. We're accustomed to seeing at least 1 hole in the back of every figure. I would prefer no holes at all, but 2? Come on now. That's terrible. But my god, with these pins, look how warped the legs are. This is absolutely terrible. Again, this is why I wanted pinless here. Look at Baron von Strucker here, and look at Fang here. You know, same legs, retooled in the pinless treatment, but you don't get the warped look like you do here. He looks bow-legged. You gotta be capping if you say pinless don't matter. Hell yeah, it does. Look at this shit. Pinless prevents shit like this. So yeah, now I gotta worry about reheating these every single time to straighten them out. Then here are his boots. Again, nicely painted for the most part. And then it sucks because there's a gap right here where the ankles start. And I wish they put a white hinge in there to continue that look. That would have made it look nice. And just splitting up like that, yeah, it kind of hurts the look for his boot. And that's about it. Damn, I really don't know why they didn't put him on the Vulcan body. I mean, is it because they don't want to play out this body yet? Because it's new? I mean, eventually they're going to play it out. You know it. Compared to a body that's already played out. Crossfire is a perfect fit for this body, especially since it has butterfly joints and is great for sniping poses and all sorts of gun shooting poses. I'm sure it came down to budget, but man, it just sucks because I always wanted a good Crossfire figure. Now for accessories, he comes with 2 interchangeable trigger hands that alternate with his fist. They both have the traditional hinge and not the vertical hinge. It would have been nice if one came with a vertical hinge, because you need a traditional hinge to hold on to the barrel there. Then he comes with the same sniper rifle you've seen with Black Widow and Yelena Belova. It's just in a black deco, and then you get the white strap to it. And there's a yellow muzzle effect that can plug into it as well. And you also get a darker smoke effect to plug into it as well. Lastly, you can strap the sniper around his body, and we're going to skip articulation as you already know how this body works. I like Crossfire in his classic look, but they could have done more. Should have been on the Vulcan body. At the very least, give him the pinless retooling they gave to the other 2 figures from this year's comic waves with the same body. Once again, mismatched plastic color tones across the body. The head sculpt and paint apps are the best thing on this figure. Some decent accessories, but this guy needed more weapons. I'm rating Crossfire a 5.5 out of 10. Lastly, let's take a look at a very classic villain and someone who formed the 3rd Masters of Evil, Egghead. Elias Starr was a government scientist who was caught and jailed after smuggling blueprints out of work, presumably to sell on the black market. The media dubbed him Egghead, and he was soon contacted and freed by a high-placed crime lord who gave him the charge of proving his worth by defeating the original Ant-Man. Although using his technological expertise, Egghead failed and narrowly avoided capture. Time and time again, he would try to defeat Hank Pym, such as trying to use Ant-Man's new partner, the Wasp, as bait, or trying to trick Ant-Man into fighting against Spider-Man. Egghead regarded Pym as his arch-nemesis and grew desperate to prove Pym's genius was inferior to his own. If there's anything that Hasbro had to do here with this figure is win with the head sculpt, and I feel like they did just that. They definitely got a dub here with the head sculpt. It looks great. The teeth grinning like that look good. You know, when the teeth are defined, it makes a big difference. And I like what they're doing with the clear plastic for the lens, like with Baron von Strucker here. You can see like the clear plastic right there where his eye looks magnified. You know, I just like that look here. He's sporting a new lab coat, I believe. I think this is new. Yeah, it's sweeping off to the side like that. It looks really good. And he is on the Happy Hogan body, which I have right over here, except I put an Inner Demon gang head on the Happy Hogan figure to have a Brute Enforcer Inner Demon gang member. So you can see same body right here. The arms are reused here, which we've seen for the first time on the Logan movie figure, and then some of the Hellfire Club members, which these are the beefier arms for the bigger bodies, which I wonder if they'll ever retool this in the pinless treatment. And then he's got his red and black tie right there. He's got a brown painted belt and some nice metallic gold paint on the buckle. You get his pants, which has this kind of bluish purplish color tone to it. Very shiny plastic. It's coming off as really glossy here. And he's got brown shoes. He's pretty much comic accurate. I mean, there's not much else to say. Actually, there is. Hold on. Because his physique is completely wrong. So when I say comic accurate, I mean like his suit. But his physique, he's just way too tall. And he should be short. He should be a little more round and stumpier. So think of this Fantastic Four wave Ronan the Accuser Build-A-Figure series Mole Man. He should be something like this. I mean, a little bit taller, of course, but this kind of roundish stumpiness kind of look. Because now if I bring out an Ant-Man figure, let's just say it's Scott Lang here. Oh man, yeah, he's just way too tall. So that definitely sets it back a bit. If you don't care about the character and you just want like an evil mad scientist in your photo shoots or displays, whatever, then, you know, you're not going to care about the scale. This is just another prime example of Hasbro trying to make a figure fit in its own universal scaling within the Legends line so that they don't spend money for new tooling. Lastly, for accessories, he comes with this pistol, which I believe is new. I don't think we've ever seen it before, but correct me if I'm wrong. Would have been nice if he had a slot inside either side of his jacket to store the gun in. Now for articulation, Egghead's head moves up that far, and it moves that far down, left, right, and it does pivot real nice, rocks around. His arms can only move about that far up, so not gonna get a straight T-pose with him. Moves down and all around. Got a bicep swivel, you got double jointed elbows, wrist swivel, wrist hinge. Ab crunch moves that far forward and that far back. He has a waist swivel, legs can spread about that far, and his legs can kick up really high. He kicks that far back, legs rock around. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed pinless knees, and come on. Coat does get in the way, but as you can see, heel to the egg butt. And then he has no ankle swivel. His ankles move about that far up, that far down, and they do pivot. Egghead's suit is pretty comic accurate, but not in stature. You might be bothered by the universal scaling, or you might not. I don't care about the Egghead character that much to really be bothered by it, so if you care and it bothers you, trust me, I understand when it comes to a character that I care about. But I needed this classic villain on my shelf as a huge Ant-Man fan. Again, not a big Egghead fan, but I want to own all the characters in the Ant-Man mythos because I mark out for anything Ant-Man related. I also want every single Masters of Evil member to ever exist. The head sculpt is the winning feature of the figure. I'm rating Egghead with a 4 out of 10. Now for some comparisons, here is Ultron next to the Ursa Major Wave Classic Ultron and the Target exclusive 3-pack Ultron. Here is Crossfire next to Hawkeye and Mockingbird. We definitely need a classic Mockingbird ASAP. And lastly, here is Egghead next to Ant-Man and the Wasp. And now to wrap things up, the comic choices here are a good selection since all of these characters appeared in Ant-Man comics. 2 first-timers in the line with Crossfire and Egghead to expand the Marvel Universe on our shelves. Ultron is an A-list villain, and I know they wanted to get use out of this Ultron 8 or Ultron 11, whatever version of this new sculpt from the Ursa Major Wave. I did pass on future Ant-Man, just because I really don't have a spot for him on the shelf. Sure, I can create a shelf of characters in the future with the likes of him, Spider-Man 2099, Maestro, Old Man Logan, Old Man Hawkeye, who else? Well, those are just 5 I can think of off the top of my head, and I have big shelves, so I'm not going to waste shelf space for only 5 figures. At least for now, until they expand and add more like X-Men 2099, Hulk 2099, and other characters from the future. It's really hard for me to try and find a positive with these figures here in the wave, as Ultron is a downgrade from being a top 10 in 2021. Maybe if they gave him a red cloak overlay to make a crimson cowl, it could have been a nice offer, but I think that's something they might save for a Masters of Evil wave, if they ever do one. Again, this is best for army building, and I think the Legends team knew that going into this, hence why they didn't give it any paint. I'm sure they'll look nice army build standing behind the last Ultron figure. They could have skipped the bath piece and just offered this for less on post to be an affordable army builder. The last one with better paint costs less to army build. Crossfire was a missed opportunity not putting him on the Vulcan body. Like I pointed out before, the least they could have done was give him the retooled pinless treatment. Though I like his accessory choices, you just need to give him an arsenal of weapons to borrow from other figures. To me, it's the head sculpt and paintwork that was able to lift this figure up a bit, but it's weighed down in other quality areas. Hopefully we can get his cousin, Darren Cross's Yellow Jacket version. Crossfire was a former member of the Masters of Evil, so he'll go on the shelf with my villains. Egghead is a super classic villain and a must-have for me in the collection. Just wish they made him unique. I think they should have tinkered with some new parts that could have been used for a Mo-Man or Harry Leland in the future to give him more of that roundish look. Or maybe borrow from Doc Ock and experiment there. Just an idea. I'm gonna correct myself when I said his suit is pretty comic accurate. I forgot to point out that he's missing his suspenders. Anyways, to some, I'm sure they'll find him to be fine as is. No one expects Egghead to be Marvel Legends of the Year. Another one going with my Masters of Evil shelf. I don't have a collective rating for this since it's not a full wave, so it wouldn't be fair. Not doing movie figures anymore as the desire isn't there like it once was. So speaking to the comic book heads, I think these 3 are the ones to get if you want to universally expand in the collection, but some will either be pleased with these, some won't, and some will just pass altogether. Now I kick it back to you. What is your thoughts on the comic roster for this wave? What did you think of my review? Will it help validate your purchase, whether it's regular price or clearance? Or will you thank me for saving you money? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xman87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.